Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. If you're gearing up for the UGC NET exam, or honestly, if you're just kind of fascinated by the hidden mechanics of human interaction, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're unpacking the ultimate cheat sheet for the communication paper. We're going to break down the core theories, the barriers, and the hidden structures behind how we share information. So, here is a really fascinating question to kick us off. What actually makes communication fail, and how on earth do you fix it? I mean, it sounds like a simple problem, right? But understanding the precise mechanics of miscommunication is literally the key to mastering both the UGC NET exam and your real-world interactions. The exact moment you understand where a message breaks down, that's the moment you become a master communicator.
Okay, let's dive into this. We've got a brilliantly structured 6-part syllabus today. We'll hit the core communication process, key models, and types of communication. Then we'll look at the 7 C's, overcoming barriers, and finally, classroom media and society. We're building from basic definitions right up to complex exam applications, so let's get moving.
First up, Section 1, the core communication process. Every complex theory we'll look at today starts right here. Think of this as the basic engine of communication. The sender kicks things off by encoding a message. That message travels through a chosen media or channel. Then the receiver gets it and decodes it. But the absolutely vital step, and the one exam boards literally love to test you on, is step 4, feedback. Feedback confirms understanding. It's the magic ingredient that transforms communication from a one-way street into a continuous, interactive loop. All right, let's shift to Section 2, key communication models. Pay close attention here, because these frameworks pop up constantly in the exams. It is wild to see how this evolved over time. We start way back in the 300s BC with Aristotle's basic model, just a speaker, a message, and an audience. Fast forward over 2,000 years to 1948, and Shannon and Weaver introduce a linear model that adds noise as a disruption. Then in 54, Schramm brings in the interactional model, focusing on participants' field of experience. Finally, in 1960, we get Berlow's famous SMCR model. Every single step added a new, realistic layer of complexity. Now, what's really interesting about Berlow's SMCR model, which stands for source, message, channel, and receiver, is how it factors in the human element. He argued that communication fidelity depends heavily on our skills, our attitudes, and our knowledge. Actually, scratch that. It's not just about wires and mechanical signals. It is entirely about the humans at both ends. So, you definitely need to understand the contrast between these two major camps. The Shannon-Weaver model is linear and one-way, heavily concerned with noise disruption. The transactional model, on the other hand, is circular and simultaneous. The roles of sender and receiver are fluidly reversing all the time. Fair warning, juxtaposing linear transmission against transactional exchange is a classic UGC NET exam trap, so keep that distinction locked in. Moving right along to Section 3. Types of communication. Knowing the textbook definitions is one thing, but the exam really tests your ability to map these to real-world scenarios. We've got 4 main modes here. Verbal relies on spoken words and language. Nonverbal is, well, everything else. A crossed arm, a raised eyebrow, or a shift in tone. Written covers your emails and reports. And visual uses images and charts to get the point across. Pretty straightforward, right? And this brilliantly illustrates how it shows up on the test. Look at this question. In verbal communication, words act as... The answer is symbols. It proves a core concept. Verbal communication relies entirely on words functioning as symbolic stand-ins for actual ideas or objects. Here's another great one, focusing on nonverbal cues. The exam asks what the word haptics denotes. The answer? Tactile communication. The UGC NET loves its academic jargon, so knowing that haptics means touch is an absolute must-know for sure. Let's step into Section 4, the 7 C's of communication. Consider this your ultimate foolproof checklist for perfect delivery. If you want to keep your message intact, you need the 7 C's. It must be clear, concise, don't waste words, concrete, backed by hard facts, correct in its language, coherent so it actually makes logical sense, complete, covering all the bases, and courteous, because nobody likes a rude message. I highly recommend using this as a mnemonic device during the exam. If an option doesn't fit one of these C's, it's probably the wrong answer. But what happens when the 7 C's completely fail? That brings us to Section 5, overcoming communication barriers. We can break these barriers into specific categories. Physical barriers are environmental, like literal construction noise outside. Psychological barriers are internal, stress, anxiety, or prejudice. Semantic barriers happen with language gaps or confusing jargon. like trying to explain complex software to your grandparents. Organizational barriers come from corporate hierarchy, and personal barriers involve a lack of trust or resistance to change. Pinpointing these is absolutely crucial for diagnosing communication breakdowns. Finally, Section 6, Classroom, Media, and Society. This is where those broad theories meet highly specific educational and societal contexts.
Let's see how this builds into an actual test scenario. This question asks, what kind of societies social media platforms have created? The answer? A society of networking. It's a perfect example of how modern digital channels literally shape the sociological structure of our world into interconnected networks.
And here's one more, bringing it right back to the classroom. Feedback makes the classroom communication process? The answer is circular. Remember the transactional model we looked at earlier? This is that theory in action. By adding feedback, a teacher physically transforms a linear, one-way lecture into a continuous, interactive, and circular process. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a challenge. Look at your own life. What is the biggest psychological or semantic barrier in your daily communication, and which model will you use to overcome it? Do you need to manage your noise like Shannon and Weaver, or maybe focus on your skills and attitudes like Berlo? Mastering these concepts isn't just about acing the UGC NET, it's about becoming a real game changer in how you connect with the world. Thanks so much for exploring this with me, and we'll see you next time.